Look up at the night sky on a clear evening. It is vast and silent. For thousands of years, humans have looked at those distant points of light and asked a single question: what does it all mean for us? This quest for meaning is the foundation of astrology. It is one of the oldest systems of thought in human history. It sits at the intersection of observation and imagination. Today, we examine the story of astrology. Welcome to Objectified. In this exploration, we are not looking at whether the stars can predict your love life. Instead, we are looking at the massive cultural and historical machine that created the zodiac. We are looking at how a system of celestial observation transformed from a state tool for kings into a billion-dollar industry on our smartphones. This is a story of mathematics, religion, power, and the eternal human desire to feel connected to the universe. The story begins over 4,000 years ago in the fertile lands of Mesopotamia. The Babylonians were among the first people to keep detailed records of the heavens. They did not see the planets as rocks or gas giants. They saw them as gods moving across the sky. To the Babylonians, the sky was a giant map of the divine will. If a certain planet appeared in a certain position, it was a message. These messages were usually about the fate of the entire kingdom. They predicted the success of a harvest or the outcome of a war. By the 7th century, before the Common Era, the Babylonians had divided the path of the sun into 12 equal segments. We call this path the ecliptic. They named these segments after the constellations that occupied them. This was the birth of the zodiac. However, it was still very different from what we know today. It was a tool of the state. It was not meant for the common person. It was meant to protect the king and the city. The evolution of astrology took a massive leap forward when it met the Greek mind. After Alexander the Great conquered Egypt and parts of the Middle East, Greek philosophy blended with Babylonian observation. This period is known as the Hellenistic era. The Greeks added geometry and logic to the system. They introduced the concept of the 4 elements: fire, earth, air, and water. They also created the first individual birth charts. Around the 2nd century, a scholar named Claudius Ptolemy wrote a book called the Tetrabiblos. This work codified the rules of astrology. Ptolemy attempted to explain astrology through the physics of his time. He argued that the sun, moon, and planets exerted a physical influence on the earth, much like the moon affects the tides. This book became the definitive textbook for astrologers for the next 1,500 years. It moved astrology from a mystical omen system into a structured, pseudoscientific discipline. During the Middle Ages, the center of astrological study shifted to the Islamic world. While Europe was in a period of relative intellectual stagnation, scholars in Baghdad and Cairo were translating Greek texts. They improved the mathematics of the planets. They invented the astrolabe, a complex tool used to calculate the positions of celestial bodies. Figures like Al-Kindi and Abu Mashar expanded the scope of astrology. They linked it to history and the rise and fall of religions. When these ideas eventually returned to Europe during the Renaissance, astrology reached its peak of respectability. It was taught in major universities. It was considered an essential companion to medicine. Doctors believed that different signs of the zodiac governed different parts of the human body. For example, Aries governed the head, while Pisces governed the feet. A surgeon would check the position of the moon before performing a procedure to avoid complications. The decline of astrology as a formal science began with the scientific revolution, as Copernicus, Kepler, and Galileo proved that the Earth was not the center of the universe. The foundations of astrology began to crack. Astrology is geocentric. It relies on the view of the sky from Earth. When the telescope revealed that the planets were physical worlds rather than divine beings, astrology was pushed to the margins. By the 18th century, it was often dismissed as a superstition of the past. However, astrology did not disappear. It simply waited for a new audience. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, there was a massive revival of interest in the occult. A man named Alan Leo is often called the father of modern astrology. He realized that the old style of astrology was too complicated for the general public. He simplified the system. He focused less on predicting specific events and more on describing a person's character. He made it about psychology. The biggest turning point for modern astrology happened in 1930, the London Sunday. Express published an astrological profile for Princess Margaret. It was a sensation. This led to the creation of the daily horoscope column. Suddenly, millions of people were reading about their sun signs every morning. This changed everything. It shifted the focus from a complex chart of your entire birth moment to just the position of the sun. This is the version of astrology most people recognize today. The cultural significance of astrology in the modern day is profound. It has become a language for identity. In an increasingly secular world, many people use astrology to find a sense of belonging or purpose. It provides a framework for self-reflection. It allows people to talk about their emotions and personality traits using a shared vocabulary. Whether or not someone believes the stars are literally influencing them, the system offers a way to organize the chaos of human experience. There are many surprising details buried in the history of astrology. For instance, did you know that many of the fathers of modern science were also astrologers? Johannes Kepler actually earned much of his living by writing horoscopes for royalty. Even Isaac Newton owned books on the subject. Another fascinating fact is the precession of the equinoxes. Because the Earth wobbles on its axis, the constellations have shifted over the last 2,000 years. This means that if you think you are in Aries, the Sun was likely actually in the constellation of Pisces when you were born. Another fun fact involves the 13th sign. There is a constellation called Ophiuchus that sits on the ecliptic. While it is a real constellation, astrologers do not include it in the 12-sign zodiac, because the system is based on the seasons rather than the literal constellations. There is also the story of Joan Quigley. She was a professional astrologer who was hired by the Reagan administration. For years, she advised the White House on the timing of speeches and even the launch of the space shuttle. As we look at the state of astrology today, we see a digital transformation. Apps use high-speed algorithms to calculate charts that once took hours to draw by hand. Social media is filled with memes about Mercury retrograde. We have come a long way from the clay tablets of Babylon. Astrology has survived the rise and fall of empires, the birth of modern science, and the digital revolution. It persists because it speaks to a fundamental human need. We want to believe that we are not alone in a cold and empty void. Astrology suggests that there is a rhythm to the universe and that we are part of it. It suggests that our lives have a structure that mirrors the movement of the heavens. While the scientific community remains rightfully skeptical of its claims, the historical and cultural impact of astrology is undeniable. It has shaped our calendars, our medicine, and our understanding of ourselves. It is a mirror that we have held up to the sky for 4 millennia. What do you think about the history of this ancient system? Do you see it as a beautiful piece of human mythology or as a misleading superstition? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you have a specific sign that you identify with, let us know why it resonates with you. Your perspective helps us build a better conversation about the objects and ideas that shape our world.